right, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers here for a little bit. Look, we're working our way through OTAs. We're starting to see all the strategy the new Steelers offense in particular is going to use to try and get more out of this offense in 2024 and beyond. And earlier this week, it was reported that the Steelers are making a really smart move for a really key young playmaker, and that, of course, is George Pickens. Let's pull up this tweet, this report, courtesy of 32 Beat Writers real quick, which is a great account to follow on Twitter. Highly recommend. From the Post, the Steelers plan on making third-year wide receiver George Pickens more versatile in his formation alignments this season. He confirmed to reporters at minicamp on Wednesday that he's playing in the slot more than ever in new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith's system. Now, obviously, anytime you have a star player like Pickens obviously is, you want to put him in the best positions to be successful. The fact that the Steelers haven't done that really last season over the 2023 season was a real disappointment. And I think going into 2024, Steelers fans, this is a great sign because you're going to see Pickens' production skyrocket. And there's really good comparisons to this. I look at Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and CeeDee Lamb, the receivers for the Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys, respectively. Let's pull up a chart here detailing exactly what I'm talking about. On the left there, you've got Brown, St. Brown's, and Lamb's offensive production in terms of receiving yards in 2022 when their offensive coordinators kind of just let them play wherever. They didn't do a lot of formation, versatile alignment. Good numbers there, like Pickens, right? Good numbers. But in 2023, both the Lions and the Cowboys play callers decided to move both these receivers around a lot more, put them in motion, line them up more in the slot, outside, mix up, make it very hard for defenses to adjust, and the stats speak for themselves. Both players, already good players, had massive spikes in productivity, and both teams obviously won their divisions. So this is obviously a great sign for the Pittsburgh Steelers that this offense, namely with Pickens behind it, is going to be much more productive. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but first, Steelers fans in the comment section below, talking wide receivers, of course, so we've got a really hard question for you. Who is the greatest wide receiver in Steelers history? There's probably like 5 names at the top of my head that could maybe qualify for it. You could go back to the 1970s. Heck, you could probably go back to the 50s and 60s, but only pick one. Who is the greatest wide receiver in Steelers history? Put it in the comment section below. And while you're down there in the comment section below, if you've always wanted to be the smartest guy in the comment section, make sure you check out a recommended list of football books that you'll see in the description. Make sure you check out some of those links. A lot of great reading there. Highly recommend it. Make sure you check it out. But Miles, give me your thoughts on this latest move the Steelers are doing here for George Pickens.
Yeah, and I like this move, and I really think that's going to work out quite well because Arthur Smith, I think when he was a head coach, I think things got a little bit muddled, but when he was offensive coordinator, I think he was a very good offensive coordinator when that's the only thing he had to focus on. Now, you talk about Pickens, we talked about last season. This is a guy who really didn't have much versatility, obviously, because we're talking about the changeup here, but let's get into some numbers. He lined up out wide 477 times, or 83.1% of the time, versus in the slot 97 times, or 16.9% of the time. He was still very effective. I think he did good. Obviously, 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think that's great. I think he's a very talented receiver. But like you alluded to, there's guys that are much more productive of him, like Amon-Ra St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb, who have been utilized better. Let's look at CeeDee Lamb's numbers. On the other hand, this is a guy who lined up out wide 282 times, or 41.8% of the time, and a very balanced in the slot 385 times, or a 57% of the time as well. There's so much more disparity in those numbers. Very, very close to being almost more of a balanced look rather than Pickens, who at 16.9% of the time in the slot very seldomly was moved from being the outside guy. So I think this is a smart move by the Steelers. I want to see Pickens being more utilized because after his, that rookie season he came out, we saw some flashes. Last year, we saw him starting to grow. Now this year, I think this is the big year for Pickens. I think this is a year, which last year was a great year for him. But this year, with better quarterback play, better offensive coordinating, I just think overall this could be the year that Pickens breaks out and is for sure undeniably like that top 5 wide receiver in the NFL type of player. We know he has the talent, and I think this new system, the way they're saying they're going to move him around, and we've seen results with other players, I think this is the year that is really going to put him to the top.
And I think it really aligns well with the fact the Steelers have kind of moved off of a lot of veteran wide receivers. You look at, of course, with Deontay Johnson this offseason, they let Allen Robinson go as well. Because I think it's a myth that you need a bunch of great wide receivers. If you've got one really good one, which Pickens obviously is, and you use him intelligently, that's all you need. And then you just need some supporting cast guys to fill out the rest of your passing offense, right? So if Arthur Smith, and it sounds like he is, uses Pickens like the Lions use Amon-Ra St. Brown and like the Dallas Cowboys use CeeDee Lamb, they don't need a bunch of other receivers, right? In terms of guys with a lot of production. They just need maybe a couple speed guys, maybe another possession guy, right? They've got all they need in terms of the majority of their offensive production. If they use Pickens the right way, it looks like they will, and this is a great sign for the Steelers offense.